Hello, everyone. Today I have a special guest on the show. This is Jeff. He is also known as the incredible shrinking bearded man. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I am doing fantastic, sir. How about you?
I'm doing great. All right. So we want to go into your journey. And I know from talking to you before that your journey has seen different diets and so forth. So let's start with telling everybody a little bit about yourself and how you've progressed over the years to find different diets and eventually get to the carnivore diet.
Okay. Yeah, I was close to 450 pounds by the time I graduated high school. I grew up in a verbally abusive household, which I think, led to a lot of that overeating. I got up to my heaviest of about 550 pounds in my early 20s, and currently at about 270 pounds at the moment with two skin removal surgeries under my belt. They did chest and arms in last February, and they just did my belly. Did a mommy makeover this past February. I'm still kind of healing from that. Um, my weight loss journey really did start with a book called Sugar Busters back in the mid 2000s or the early 2000s. I don't know if you ever heard of that one before. They basically
No.
preached about low glycemic foods and had pretty good success over that because I figure probably my insulin levels got a little lower, and I got down to probably, oh hell, probably about 350 pounds with that. But like anybody else that is dealing with weight issues all their life, the gimmick diets don't necessarily do much except for stop the bleeding for a while, and then they're not sustainable long term. I did like a paleo thing for a while. I was up and down all the time, and I became plant based back in 2016, and had actually gotten almost scary skinny and lost a big chunk of my muscle mass doing that diet, and let alone my mental health declining like crazy because I wasn't getting my essential amino acids. And then I kind of did the Paul Saladino thing for a while, the animal base with some fruit and honey, and still even that. I think I'm one of the unfortunate people where low carb is the only way I can manage my appetite without being ravenous 24/7. And I've kicked in a lot of the intermittent fasting for the last like 10 years or so, also, which I think's been helping. And I started doing carnivore uh, probably about early or late summer, and I've been doing it ever since. And I've been feeling absolutely fantastic. The brain fog's gone, but the mental health's improved. I got back quite a bit of muscle, and you can see my scar there too from what they took off. They actually took off about 25 pounds off of me with extra skin from dropping so much weight, almost 300 pounds. And by far, this carnivore has been like the easiest, most sustainable, easiest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's one of those things where I couldn't be happier with it, and I could not recommend it enough to everybody that that's out there. It's been such a life changing experience for me as far as everything goes across the board.
Yeah. So, when it comes to carnivore, a lot of people will tell you that it's too restrictive and not sustainable because of that. And I have not found that as being a problem. And like you just said that, it's something that is so easy to follow and so forth. Um, I'm assuming then that you haven't found it restrictive at all for you, right?
Well, I'm pretty easy with like simple meals. Like I make a lot of like grass fed ground beef bowls. In the last couple of months, I have kind of started adding a little bit of onion to my food and a little bit of zucchini here and there, but nothing so crazy. A little avocado on occasion to kind of. Uh, I did do about 4 months straight of like pretty much a lion diet to like really clean up my GI issues because plant based really destroyed my gut, and I swear I had IBS. I never did get actually diagnosed with it, but I was on the toilet 3, 4 times a day, just going crazy on it. And it was just bad. Like, my complexion was getting terrible. It was really hard to gain muscle. And it's like I said, like this transition to the carnivore diet's been super easy. I just do like the pasture raised, pretty much like Ken Berry with the BBB and E is basically what I follow, but I just add a little bit of veg to it as a little bit of filler. But I'm probably actually going to go off of those pretty soon because I have noticed a little more inflammation whenever I've started adding in just a little more veggies. And I'm probably going to have to just cut that out and go back to, the BBB and E, and I do raw cheese on occasion too. I guess I forgot to mention that too. A lot of like the 3 year aged Parmesan Reggiano, that kind of stuff, more for like the gut benefits and stuff. But I only do probably like a block every week of that. It's like my treat on the weekends because I can overeat cheese like crazy if I get into it too much, and I just blow it up like crazy if I eat that stuff, like on the regular. So
Okay. So we talked a little bit about your weight loss, and you mentioned a couple things like health wise, but can you tell us a little bit about the different health issues that you've seen and what you have seen improved and what maybe you still need to improve and so forth?
my mental health was what really benefited from this because like I swear I have autism to a point, and that right there alone really helped out a lot. Just just basic functioning in that instance. I was popping like 3 ibuprofen in the morning because I work at a stock room in a factory, and that had to help me get through the day, like first thing in the morning. And even that, like, I haven't taken ibuprofen since probably like 2, 3 weeks after I started this diet, and I can actually function perfectly well without any kind of like NSAIDs or any kind of like anti-inflammatory stuff. Because being so heavy, like my feet are just like my arches are absolutely destroyed, as was my back. And I can do 8 to 10 hour factory shifts and run circles around the young kids a lot of times now. So which is nice. But I mean, a lot of stuff like I didn't really have diagnosed, like as far as like the IBS goes, but I swear I had it because like my gut was just wrecked for so many years. Like just it was either diarrhea or constipation, one of the two. And it took me a while to tweak the fat and protein ratios on this diet to finally get the proper amount and everything, the proper ratios. But it's like I said, that and just overall well-being, like, knock on wood, I don't know how the hell I survived it, but I came out of that really bad morbid obesity without any massive health issues. But I'm pretty sure I was probably insulin resistant like crazy too. Because like every time I ate, I would just sweat and just, I was just always ravenous all the time. Like I literally had to pretty much starve myself in order to maintain any weight because it was just, my blood sugars were probably just through the roof, even though my fasting glucose was always good, but I never did get a fasting insulin check. So, I kind of surf the wave of poor health for the longest time without really going to the doctor about a whole lot. And acid reflux was another thing that I had a really bad time with, and I haven't had to take any medicine for that since I started this either. That completely went away also. I guess that was another
About
one.
how quickly did you notice that those symptoms seem to get better?
Oh, well, I think, of course, like, I went through the oxalate dumping like just about everybody else does, but I think about 2, 3 weeks I started like really feeling it. There's actually like one night I remember where like it was almost like I like broke a fever overnight. Like I just woke up in like a complete freaking sweat, a big sweaty mess, and then all of a sudden like I felt great that next day, and it pretty much never, those ill feelings never went back until I started going off the program, and then I get that revenge of I eat something that I'm not supposed to, and then all of a sudden my guts are wreck all over again for about 3, 4 days, and that pain response keeps me from doing that much anymore. So,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of puffy right now because I just went through that last skin removal surgery for the belly back in February, early February. So I've been off work for like 5 weeks, so I'm getting kind of soft, but I'm ready to get back at it. And they removed about 25 pounds altogether with all three surgeries I had of just nothing but just insane, uh, just hanging loose skin. Kind of looked like a deflated nut sack quite a bit with my body, and it's been a hell of a confidence booster for me. And that in itself, though, when you really think about it, it's just absolutely ridiculous that somebody has to go through two different surgeries at like $25,000 to get all that extra skin removed from such dramatic weight loss when like really like as soon as I started eating single ingredients real food that like nature intended, a lot of that stuff just subsided and went away, and then like my weight just normalized by itself, which is just crazy when you really think about it in perspective of eating the standard American diet and just being out of control the whole time and not knowing what the hell to do with yourself. It's
Mhm.
sad. I got nothing but empathy for everybody that's out there dealing with that right now, and I hope that at least this conversation can help out somebody to change their life, because at 550 pounds, I just thought I was hopeless. I thought it was all over and I was going to die by 30. You know, and now I'm almost 50 and just booming with energy, and like I said, running circles around the 20 and 30-year olds at my job. It's kind of sad.
And well, yeah, they're probably eating that standard American diet that you used to eat. So they're
Yeah, Cheetos,
whether they really
Cheetos
feel
and
it or not. Whether I was to
Cheetos
say
and
whether they
energy drinks.
and I'd say whether they really feel it or not, they're being affected by that diet. And a lot of times people don't realize it's funny because some people are really having a lot of pain and so forth, different joint pain and things like that. And then some people just get really overweight with eating that way. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's other people that don't really seem to show a lot of symptoms. But any of those three categories, when they move to eating the right foods, they all feel better. So even if they think that they're okay, when they actually stop eating some of those really processed sugary foods, then they're like, "Oh my god, I feel so much better. I didn't realize I didn't feel good before." So,
Yeah, yeah, and I'm a believer too that like the meats, animal products are as long as you're getting the good grass fed pasture raised stuff, that's probably about the cleanest food source you can get in today's environment anymore, because even the fruits and vegetables that were a thing 100 years ago, they're not even nowhere near what they were then. And I get most of my grass fed meat at Aldi's, which I think is from like Uruguay. So like supposedly they have some like really good standards there, and I'm afraid of even getting like American grown cattle because of all the glyphosate runoff and everything. It's
mm,
just all in the air, just flying around. I live in Iowa, which is like corn growing central, and you can just see like the fog sometimes, of just all the crap that they spray on it. It's just nuts. Like are we humans have gotten so detached of what real food really is, and I kind of have the mental note now where it's like is this either going to hurt me or is it going to help me, like with whatever drug, like bite of food I eat, because I'm one of those unfortunate people where like if I get into any of that processed stuff, I'm ravenous. I blow it up really easy. It's like crack, I'm just one of the more unfortunate people that like if I stray away from anything single ingredient, natural, whole, organic foods, I'm just screwed. It's and I know
yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that just like their metabolisms just don't handle it, or they've just been eating the wrong diet for so many years that like their hormones are just destroyed. And I think a lot of my testosterone got back. Like my libido's through the roof at 46, and I've over the years it was getting worse, and now it's just like it's like I'm like let's go.
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten those formally tested yet. I'm a single guy that lives alone and pays child support, so I don't, I don't usually go out and spend, thousands of dollars on medical labs. But I did find a primary here that's actually on board with Carnivore here in Iowa, small town Iowa, which I'm really shocked about. So he's on board with what I'm doing. We're going to do some tests after like summer, after I get recovered fully from the surgery, and we'll see what my numbers are there. But I can guarantee you that they're going to be good, except for maybe my LDL, which, anybody that follows this knows that, high LDL is not all that big of a deal. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all those other
Um,
numbers that matter.
so you brought up the addictiveness that you have with eating processed foods and sugar and so forth. I have the same thing, and I know there's a lot of people out there that have that problem. And I think it's important to note that a lot of these food companies actually have people on their payroll that are trying to design the food as addictive as
Mm-hmm.
possible, and that's part of the sad thing. And it's interesting because so many people that you'll talk to, they'll they just know what the common thing is out there, right? And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you really shouldn't eat meat. It's not that good for you." And then they turn around and they're eating donuts and potato chips and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And it's like,
yeah,
you're going to tell me that meat is actually worse than eating all that processed stuff, that a lot of those ingredients aren't even real food. They're just made up in a laboratory?
yeah. Well, I'm sure you're aware about the whole like tobacco companies buying out food companies in the early '80s and using those same scientists to, doctor up the foods to get us even more addicted to hit that bliss point. There's some people that I know that could eat all that crap all they want. They might have more visceral fat, but they're skinny as can be. But you can still tell that their health's suffering. I mean, it's just being skinny don't mean that you're going to be healthy. But like it's just crazy the paradigm of like all the food companies buying, like buying out the USDA and all the other places that like make all the nutritional, guidelines, and they're just like dead wrong. Like I was even afraid of like cholesterol for the longest time because that's like the paradigm that's pushed so much, and like even when I started Carnivore last July, it was like, oh man, like, like I was really terrified about my health doing it, because I was at my wits end. Like I went from like 220 up to like 320 again within like after COVID. And that's when I started kind of easing into the animal based stuff. But even like eating like fruit was just like making me ravenous for more fruit. Like I'm just one of those insulin, sensitive insulin people that just like the more I stay away from that crap, the better. And I think I can't remember who I follow Ben Dickman a lot. I don't know if you ever listened to him ever, but I think he said something about, don't quote me on this, but something about how, like until you get all that insulin, down at a normal level, like you're just going to be, your body's not going to know what the hell to do with all the food that you're eating, and it's crazy to think that, just in like a 3 month period of like being strict and doing that cleanse like that, like how much stuff gets better. And like the brain fog, especially, like I just always had brain like this static that was just always going and going and overly anxious and always like on edge. And within a month of doing the diet, like my mental health just boosted up. But I kind of wonder too if that was just from being deficient for, oh god, what was it, 5 years I did plant-based, where I was just eating beans and potatoes most of the time, and my body was probably suffering there towards the end of that. And I mean, you hear all these recommendations from all these influencers saying to do it, and all these plant-based doctors, and it's kind of scary information when you really look at it, because I mean, like my muscle mass just depleted, completely. And I got to the point where I was like doing like 4 or 5 day water fasting all the time, because I was just getting so obsessed with getting as skinny as I could. Whereas now it's like I want to be nourished. You know what I mean? Like I can eat a couple pounds of ground beef and I'm 100% good until the next day. And I basically only do one meal a day now, where I get home at work at like 4 in the afternoon. I'll just eat like my beef and my eggs, maybe a little snack afterwards, or like a little bit of cheese or something like that. And then after that, I don't eat till the next day at like 4 o'clock, and that seems to work really well for me too.
So tell me about your immune system. Have you noticed anything better or even worse since you've gone to the carnivore diet with your immune system?
I had a bout of influenza A like a week before I got my surgery, and that, let me tell you, having a tummy tuck and coughing up mucus is one of the worst things you could ever go through in your life. It was terrible because they actually did a panelectomy, and then they did lipo on the sides, and the muscle repair while they were in there. But I mean, even my surgeon though, because I wasn't really carnivore the last time I got my last surgery when they did my chest and arms, and I healed pretty good there. But man, like after like 2 weeks, like the only thing that sucked was the drainage for it. After that, like he's like, I can't believe you're healing as fast as you are. But I don't know if it's because he's used to dealing with little rich women, the plastic surgeon. But yeah, he was like you're healing far beyond what we all expected, and I think that right there is a good testament when they're literally like cutting your whole damn belly open, and within 2 weeks you're pretty much back to normal. Yeah, that's crazy. Like everything's, I'm ready to go back to work, but they won't release me for another week, but the immunity though, I barely got sick a whole lot beforehand, but I mean, besides that bout with influenza, I've noticed though, like whenever there's like a big, round of coughs going around at work, like I usually avoid it, typically, but I guess maybe my system needs to get exposed to it once in a while. But I did get one of the jabs during COVID, and I don't know if that might have did something to me too. I did it kind of under pressure because I didn't want to have to wear a damn mask at work. And then, now you hear about all this other crap going around with the side effects of that. It's like, well, it's hard telling what factors, but as at 46, I feel healthier and happier and stronger than ever, even like approaching 50, which is pretty amazing when, in my 20s, I felt even worse than I do now. And, the long haul for me is, I want to live into my golden years, being able to actually take care of myself because I saw my mom, smoking 3, 4 packs a day growing up, eating like crap. And like the last 30 years, her quality of life went down hardcore. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I don't think I did, but back in 2008, my ex-wife gave birth to my daughter, and I was still like 400 pounds by 2011, and that's what really woke me up. Was I was trying to keep up with my kid out, 3-year-old out at the freaking the playground, and I was still smoking a carton a week, and going, just couldn't keep up with her. And I went home that night and bawled, and I'm just like, you know what, like this isn't. I even went through a consultation for lap band, and they're like, well, you're going to have to change this. And I'm like, I can do that crap myself. Like, I don't need to have a tool for that. And luckily, I didn't go through with it. And I never thought that I'd be at this point now where, I've had these skin removal surgeries and been able to, maintain my weight for this long. I mean, I still got about 20 pounds I'd like to lose, but who doesn't really,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to really, fine tune it after I get, fully healed from this. And because, working out was kind of harder when you got all this, extra skin hanging out and everything. And,
Mm.
and not seeing the results from all the working out too, and like, I think now I'll be able to like really, thrive with it and everything. So, I mean, if you're worried about the extra skin from doing losing all this weight, I would say the extra skin is a hell of a lot better than having it all filled in with all the rest of the crap and having your health terrible. It sucks either way, but man, that life of being miserable every day is 100 times harder on you than dealing with a little loose skin after losing so much. It's
Mhm.
pretty awful. It's not a good quality of life.
Yeah. So, what kind of workouts do you like to do?
I'm kind of well. My job gives me about. I'm a stock keeper at a factory, so I get about almost 8 miles of walking in there, and we're stocking a lot of heavy boxes of screws and staples. But I go to the gym and just kind of just do the machines like the upper body and the lower body, and like every other day, and then I go for walks whenever the weather's nice and or treadmill like on my days off and everything. And I do intentional stretching to help out with mobility and stuff like that. And I'm actually going to start a plank challenge for myself here pretty soon where I'm going to plank until exhaustion every day just to get my core built up. So,
Hmm.
here after I heal up a little more, but I really don't go through any like real crazy training, regimens. I just try to build muscle as much as I can, and because I like the machines, because I can, it kind of forces you to do the correct motions with it. But I'm not killing myself. I mean, if I go to the gym 3 days a week, it's only like 40 minutes. The rest of the time I'm just running around in circles at work. So, but I mean, even that though, like my cardio, what do you call it, the the respiratory stuff always sounds good, and every checkup I get every year comes out great. All the blood work comes out great, so I don't get like super detailed with the blood work, just the normal blood panels. But I'll be doing the fasting insulins and stuff here probably about summertime. So
So, I'm going to put in the description, I guess, of the video your different social media uh, accounts for people so that they can check you out. You have a YouTube channel, you have Facebook page, right? And do
and
you have an
Instagram,
Instagram,
yeah,
okay. And you're pretty much known as the incredible shrinking bearded man, right?
yep.
Uh,
You can't miss me. If you find
yep.
me on there, you can't miss me.
All right. So I'll have that stuff in the description.
If I got one thing to tell your followers that might be going through the same struggles as I used to, is don't you can't give up hope, and you have to really understand that like the system is like pitted against you, to where like you're probably going to fail if you're still eating the standard American diet. You can't you can't out exercise a bad diet. You can't. My main takeaway, and the time like I've had, regardless on what diet I've ever done, like just sticking to single ingredient foods has been the biggest help to me possible. And I'm a believer that it's all about, you got to do it for yourself as like self respect and self love, but then you got to do it for your kids, and then you got to do it for your loved ones, and then you got to do it for your friends, because the better quality of life that you give yourself, the more that's going to radiate to everybody around you. And don't be pushy about your diet change if you are doing a diet change, but just follow by example. Because I'm always like, oh my God, you gotta, this is like the most amazing thing possible. But, I get people stopping me at work all the time, like, damn, dude, you're looking great. Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I'm literally just eating animal products. That's it. Like I'm eating until I'm full once or twice a day, and that's all I got to think about. Like my grocery shopping is so easy, my meal prepping is so easy. Like life's a lot easier when you take away all that crap and just focus on the real deal, that the proper human diet, that like is what we were really super designed to eat. And I wouldn't believe any of the vegan propaganda. I was a fool for believing that crap for 6 years, and I like literally am a testament to how crappy that really does do your body in the long run. And like honestly don't see myself going off this diet ever again, because it's just like, you know, if I'm feeling better, why not? You know, and you see so many other comments on these YouTube videos about how much better everybody else is feeling. You know, the industry is not going to pay for these studies to get done, and like, you know, we pretty much have to like rely on anecdotal stuff for now. But man, I mean, like I said, you just read down any comment of any carnivore or anything, it's just bam, bam, bam. Like this went away, this went away, this went away. You know, I'm feeling so much better. Just give it a try. You know, I would probably suggest doing it with the help of your primary physician, even though they probably will give you the runaround about more fiber and less fat and seed oils. But you know, it's it's sometimes you got to take, you know, your own health in your own, you know, your own hands sometimes, sadly. But you know, I mean, just don't give up. That's the main thing. Like, there were so many times I was ready to throw in the towel, and it just like, I'm so damn glad I didn't, because you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, and God knows I'd probably be 6 feet under by now if I didn't change my ways. So that's the best advice I can give to anybody that's still really struggling, or you know, if a bloke like me can do it, believe me, everybody else can. Because yeah, and I did all this with no support, no nothing in my life. Like, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know. And I guess you got to hit that point too. It's just like quitting anything, cigarettes or drugs or alcohol. You got to want to do it. You can't pussyfoot around it, and you can't half-ass it. You know, at least that 3 months of hardcore, you know, beef and salt and water, you know, maybe some eggs. You know, that's that's the best advice I can give for a while. Just watch your medicine if you're going to do it, I guess. If
Yeah.
you're on any kind of other stuff, you know.
All right, great advice. Thanks for coming on the channel today, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I wouldn't mind doing it again if duty calls for it. So hopefully somebody gets something out of it.